Hello everybody, welcome back to another election prediction video. This time we're doing the 13 keys. So I analyzed this last year. I did a 13 key analysis. I decided to do an updated analysis because my thoughts on each of the keys have changed as of recently. So we're going to go into them one by one and just go through them. So basically you need 8 keys. If you're the incumbent president, you need 8 keys to be true to win. If the opposition gets 6 or more keys that are false on this category, then Donald Trump would win the presidency. The 13 keys tracker was right for, I'm pretty sure it's 9 or no, 8 out of 9 of last elections. The only time it was wrong was 2000. And that election, like, honestly, I think the Supreme Court pretty much decided who won there. I mean, if they let that recount proceed, I think Al Gore probably would have ended up winning 2000. So, really, the 2000 election, that was the only time it missed. And even then, that 2000 election, that was a complicated situation. The vote spread between both candidates was extremely thin. Recount could have shifted that race. So, let's get into this 13 key analysis. Starting off with midterm gains, this is simply just an analysis of House Representative gains. So if the incumbent party loses seats in the House, then this key is false, and it's obviously false here because Democrats lost more seats than they gained. Going on to no primary contest. Now, the definition for this is the incumbent party nominee has to win 2/3 of the total delegates. Right now, Biden's way beyond that. I'm pretty sure he's winning like 95 to like 97% of the delegates. So far, uncommitted, it actually won a few delegates. It got a lot of delegates in Minnesota, and it won some in Michigan, and it also won some randomly throughout congressional districts. But uncommitted is nowhere near the amount that it has to be for the key to be false. So this is obviously true. And also the weak candidates on the Democratic side with Phillips and Williamson. Williamson won 0 delegates. Phillips won 3 delegates because he got 3 of them from Ohio and congressional districts, which is actually kind of interesting. But even then, those aren't serious candidates. They're kind of jokes, honestly. And we could even look at the Republican primary back in 2020, and those lesser known candidates even won a few delegates because all you have to do is get like a percentage point or two for like Iowa and New Hampshire, and the Republican, well, not New Hampshire. New Hampshire has to be like double digits, I believe, but in Iowa, you just have to get like a few percentage points in Republican primaries and get a delegate. So there is no real actual primary contest. Incumbent seat election. Obviously, Obama, or Biden. Got it confused there. But again, Biden, he's seeking re-election here. He's a former vice president of Barack Obama. But again, this is true. No third party. Now, this part is a bit iffy because RFK Jr., he's polling around 9 or 10% in these polls. So it's kind of tough right now. I would probably say he probably does get 5. I know I'm like iffy about this. Some videos they say it's at 4.5, sometimes at 5%. I think for now I'm going to put it as lean false because I think RFK could have a really decent shot at breaking that 5% margin there. And again, with RFK Jr., he sometimes hurts Biden in some states and sometimes hurts Trump more. But for now, I'm going to keep it as a lean false key because you can say that RFK Jr., he's pulling strongly for a third-party challenger this far out. I have to give it to him right there. He's actually running ads like he ran during the Super Bowl those months ago. So the next keys, these aren't measuring economic sentiment among voters. These are measuring actual GDP growth. That's how both these keys operate. So based on the GDP growth long term, this key is obviously going to be true. The GDP has grown considerably. The stock market's doing pretty well as well. And the short-term economy, so far, I would probably put this as likely true because short-term, the economy is on the up in terms of GDP. So I'd put this as likely blue. Again, it doesn't measure economic sentiment among voters. That isn't a key here at all. But even among economic sentiment, if you want to go that way, we are already seeing Biden kind of improve in terms of margins on the economy. I saw a Fox News poll, I believe, that had Biden at 45% approval on the economy. So even the economic sentiment among voters is improving among their perception of Biden. Moving on to major policy change. So this is going to be true because Biden's overturned a few of Trump's major policies. So I would put this as a true key. So far he's already at 5 and needs 3 more. No social unrest. This key is a pretty debatable one. You could say that the protests, like at the colleges, if they continue, then that key would probably be false. However, we already saw the protests basically end, and I just don't think it's going to occur again. But I'm going to put this pretty cautionary here. I don't think it's likely blue like Lichtman says. I think it's about lean blue for now. I'm going to be cautious and put it in that category. No scandal, obviously. I don't really think there's any big scandals about Joe Biden currently. I mean, the media really isn't covering anything that major, and I don't really see anything that big here affecting Biden so far in terms of scandal, so it's likely blue. No foreign military failure. Well, you could argue that the situation in Gaza is probably a failure, and maybe in the Afghanistan withdrawal was. But I think more focus being on Gaza and Ukraine, like Lichtman's saying here, and he even says it's lean false. So I would say with what's going on in Ukraine losing a bit of ground or just holding steady here, in the situation in Gaza, that conflict's not ending, I would probably put this as a lean false key. It could change if Ukraine pushes back against Russia and maybe a ceasefire happens there. That could change this key. Or maybe if the situation in Gaza stops or that conflict in Gaza ends, then maybe this key could change. But right now, I would say they would probably rate this as a lean false key for now. I don't think it's probably not going to change. Major success. This is more likely to change than no foreign failure or no foreign/military failure. But for now, we're not seeing that momentum so far. Those conflicts aren't close to ending, so I'm probably going to put this as lean false, though. But I think this one, honestly, I would put the no foreign/military failure, key number 10, to likely false now that I really think about it. I think it's unlikely to change, while I think key 11 is more likely to change here. Charismatic incumbent. Biden's not charismatic, so this is a false key. Uncharismatic challenger. So previously Lichtman labeled Trump as uncharismatic for the last election. Again, it's because he only appeals to a narrow slice of the American people, like this quote says here. So with his supporters, of course he's pretty charismatic, but among all voters here, he still is disapproved of by a majority of voters here. So he doesn't have this widespread appeal. So this key is going to be true. It is an uncharismatic challenger, and that's enough for Biden to win among the 13 keys here. Now, it is a model. It's not 100%. It did miss 2000, but I'd argue 2000, that was a pretty tough election to really see who actually won it, because the Supreme Court ruled there, and that pretty much, I think a statewide recount could have shifted the race either way there. Like, it was a coin flip who was going to win that statewide recount, I would say. But the 13 key model is pretty accurate. 8 out of 9 last elections, it got it right. So it's nothing to scoff at if a person's winning the 13 keys, because usually that means they're pretty likely to win here. But based on these keys so far, Biden has 5 locked in, 6 and 7 decently locked in. Well, social unrest, this could be the key that could change it, because if this key shifts, it changes it to Trump winning. But for now, that's my analysis on the 13 keys. Again, it's just a model. It's not the gospel on who's going to win, but it is a helpful indicator. Now, I will show you my current map of what my prediction is going to be as of right now, because I did change a few states from my one back in early May, like I was referencing in the polling video. I just want to show you what ratings I specifically changed here. And I'll explain why, because I figured just give this video an added bonus. Florida's probably going to be safe Republican at this point. I think Trump's probably going to end up winning it by over 10, just because I just think that's the way Florida's trending. It's going to be super Republican from now on. Change Georgia back to lean R. Again, polls aren't the best for Biden in the state of Georgia still. Virginia, New Hampshire, Maine remain likely blue. Maine second, safe R. Nebraska second, shifting it down to lean blue because one poll showed Trump up there. Colorado and New Mexico remain the same. And here's where my ratings changed. Nevada went from tilt R to lean R just because New York Times poll just showed Trump up by there so much that so far I think Trump's probably going to end up winning here by 1.5 to 2%. And Arizona, I have also changed from tilt D to tilt R just because Biden still hasn't led in a poll there. And I was expecting him to gain ground there. And according to New York Times, he lost a bit of ground in Arizona. And even in that CBS poll, Trump's up by 5. So again, it's not looking the best for Biden in Arizona. It could be due to Latino voters shifting more Republican, while Biden holds his own among white voters. But that's where it would kind of help him in the Rust Belt here. So Minnesota, I have as lean blue. PA and Michigan remains tilt blue. And I changed my mind on Wisconsin because, again, the New York Times poll actually showed Biden up in the state of Wisconsin. And there's a few polls out there that showed Biden up here as well. So my thinking in this state, again, Wisconsin typically likes their incumbents. We saw them elect Ron Johnson, who was an unpopular incumbent. We saw them reelect their governor, which I got wrong in my last predictions of 2022. So, again, I'd probably rate the state of Wisconsin as tilt blue, and it's gotten even closer since the last prediction. It used to be 271 to 267. Well, it's 270 to 268 because Biden's just not doing as well in Arizona, and he's surprisingly doing way better in Wisconsin, which I really wasn't expecting in the polls. But it could be that Biden's holding his own among white voters. That might be the real reason why. So this is my current prediction map, and this is what I think of the 13 keys. So a narrow Biden victory, but all it takes is for one key to change here, and that would probably be enough for Trump to win. Most likely path for him to win, though, probably win PA and Wisconsin. That's how Trump would win the election, I believe. He needs to spend a lot of time in those two states. But yeah, that's just my current stance on the 2024 election, the 13 key and the 13 keys along with it. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all in the next one. If you're new to this channel, highly recommend subscribing if you enjoy this type of content. Thanks for watching.